Welcome back. This is the 94th segment of Making Sense for 7 Minutes, and it is the 24th out of 25 segments where we are taking a hard look at evil and suffering. And this hard look that we're taking is being taken through the lens of the biblical worldview, which informs us, not surprisingly, of a plethora of things concerning life and living, and of the utmost importance. It tells us, although undoubtedly not with as much detail as we might like, what God's purposes are. And particularly what God's purposes are for bringing certain unpleasant people or unpleasant circumstances, or allowing certain unpleasant people or unpleasant circumstances into our lives. Now, although our knowledge is always limited, and what we do see, we often see like we're looking through a dark glass, one thing that is apparent, one thing that is clear, is that God's purposes are multifaceted. He's accomplishing always more than one thing at a time in any particular set of circumstances. And so let me address this particular segment, what it is that his purposes are for your life if you are a Christian, a follower of Jesus. God's great project in your life is to mold you into the character of Jesus himself. And this is true for every Christian. Now, that doesn't mean that his intention is for all Christians to all look alike. Our own unique personalities remain intact. But for each of us, the qualities of the character of Jesus will increase. That's his great project in every Christian's life. One of the favorite verses for many Christians is Romans 8:28, which says that God causes, and note that word, causes, all things to work together for good to those who love him. Now, the problem is that a lot of Christians will stop right with that verse and then hand it out like a Hallmark card. See, everything is going to have a happy ending. Well, yes and no. Whatever difficult situation you're in right now, it may not have a happy ending. In the short run, in the long run, in this life. But that's not the good that God is causing all things to work together toward anyway. You have to go to verse 29 to find out what that is. And that is that we would be conformed to the image of Christ. So, it makes sense then when we read in the first chapter of James to consider it all joy. And notice, he doesn't say be happy about it. He says consider it all joy, which is a much deeper thing inside of a person. When you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and endurance will have its perfect result that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Now, who do you know that's perfect and complete, lacking in nothing? Jesus. Consider it all joy when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its perfect result, that you may be more like Jesus. And this project will be completed. The first chapter of Philippians, we hear Paul saying, he who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. In 1 John, we're told we will be like Jesus. But now this doesn't involve only the confirmation or the conforming our character to the image of Jesus. It's also conforming our ministry to that of Jesus. And of course, these two go hand in hand. Look, when God entered into human history, becoming a man, Jesus Christ, he took on the entire human experience. So we can read in Hebrews where we don't have a high priest who can't sympathize with our weaknesses, but one who has been tempted in all points as we, but without sin. When we go to Jesus with whatever struggles we have, he is empathetic. Paul says, second chapter of 1 Corinthians, first chapter of 2 Corinthians, that's it, first chapter of 2 Corinthians, that one of the reasons that he's grateful for all the stuff that he's been through is that he's experienced the comfort of Christ, and now he's in a position to provide that same comfort, and empathetically to others who are going through the same stuff. So, do you want to have the ministry of Jesus? An empathetic ministry? Well, it's going to be tough, but it's going to require that you go through some stuff. And that's, in large part, what the purpose of this stuff in your life is. So I would encourage you, don't waste it. Thanks, y'all.